You're listening to She's Got Drive podcast, the podcast that inspires women to be the driver in their own life through the life and stories of Black women with drive. And I'm your host, Shirley McAlpine. I'm a business consultant, an executive coach, and a leadership facilitator, working with people and organizations to live their lives by design and not default. Welcome back to another episode of She's Got Drive. And this is part 2 of the Vyla Rollins episode. And you will see in this part 2 episode with Vyla, we are exploring more her life outside of her work and some of the challenges that emerges, for example, when we are trying to find the person that we want to be with for the rest of our life. You know, we all want the connection, and it's a thing that, and the challenges that many Black women face, you know, who have spent a lot of time investing in themselves and developing themselves. They're strong, they're committed, they're clear, they're independent, they're experts in their field, they're confident, they're all of those things. And how do you find someone to meet you where you are, to partner with you, to expand with you? And so we talk about that in this episode. Before that, I wanted to just share, like the other, last week I was delivering a session, like a presentation workshop at one of my clients, and it was on PI. It was on the model which is a career enhancement model. It really is critical information if you're someone who wants to be successful in your career, and if you're someone who wants to be successful, whether that's you are running your own business or whether you are working within corporate America or large organizations or even small organizations, is whatever. If you're interested in being successful in your work, this model is key information for you. And so I wanted to really bring back to the chain of episodes, the PI episode, and that's number 8. So it's a really early episode that I did, but the response in that workshop that I did last week was so great that it really reminds me to invite you to, if you're interested in your career success, listen to episode 8 of She's Got Drive. It's called the PI episode, where I talk with Lisa Stewart about PI and why it's important. Performance, image, and exposure. That's what it stands for. And the importance of us paying attention to not just what we're doing and how and doing it well, but also managing our reputation and our image and managing our relationships and on expanding our network, and that our focus on our image and our focus on our networks and our sponsorships is, we really do not focus on that enough as women, and particularly as Black women. And so when you do that, you will see results in your career. So yeah, I've got to emphasize that. The other thing actually is the episode before that is with Paulette Rowe. And she was the one, or was it 2 episodes for that? Paulette Rowe. She inspired me to do the PI episode. And so her episode really shares powerfully how to apply PI in your own career and the results that it can yield. So I'm going to give you a shout out for that episode as well. So if you're interested in your career success, then look at that episode. Let's move back to Vyla. So this is part 2, and I remind you who Vyla is. Now, Vyla is organizational psychologist. She spent 25 years working as a global organizational effectiveness consultant. That includes doing the executive coaching, and she specifically has experience of working with presidents and executives at the very highest levels within global, mid-sized and regional organizations. She also has a part-time role as the executive director of the London Business School's Leadership Institute. Again, you're going to love this part 2 with Vyla. I give you Vyla Rollins. If we look at your career to date then, what's been your biggest challenge? What's the thing that's challenged you the most?
Oh, gosh. You know, it's funny. Just before this, our conversation, my best friend in the UK dropped over for a cup of tea. And
I love the way you said that, because that is such a British thing to say.
Yeah, I know. Well,
People
he
don't
was
do
coming
that.
over.
Okay. People don't do that. No one drops over for a cup of tea in the US.
Yeah, well, he actually has some stuff in my garage, and he always rings when he wants to come over and get something. He said, because it's like, are you home? Can we hook up? And I'm like, yeah, come over. We can have a cup of tea. And I actually posed that question to him. I said, gosh, I'm going to have this conversation with this fantastic woman. She'll probably pose this question to me, and I don't know what to say. And he said, well, knowing you because he's known me for 38 years.
Wow.
Professional stuff through personal stuff. And he said, well, the thing I would say, Vyla, is, observing you, the biggest challenge you faced is finding a life partner who could meet you where you were and be open to being influenced by you, but also have the power, groundedness, insight to inspire and, inform you in your actions. Right. I thought, wow,
yes.
That was, so always ask your best friend.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And I think he's absolutely right on that. My biggest challenge has been, finding that life partner. And I have been blessed to, finally find that. And I knew that he was the man for me when we went out on our first date, and, we were exploring each other's backgrounds, and, what had happened around the dating scene. And I said to him, well, I often have, challenges with guys feeling, a bit threatened by me, a bit timid around me. And his response was, he laughed. He's like, oh, really? He said, I don't find you that intimidating or scary or what have you. And I had never had that response. And I thought, wow, I think I'm going to spend some more time with you.
Right.
And again, it's been fantastic. And I couldn't do, what I do, without having him in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, let me tell you, there are going to be women listening to this going, can I get an amen? Because, seriously, because the more, one of the things that, you've hit such a subject. I should just do a podcast on this. I did a podcast on sharing my relationship principles that I created with my husband, but I should do a podcast on this because it is an important factor in how do we have people in our lives who support us, who meet us, who get us, and
no doubt,
right, and it's a contributing factor to our success, and how we walk in the world. And
absolutely.
So everyone out there looking for a partner, you said he wasn't intimidated by you because all the other men you've met weren't your partner.
Yeah.
The end. So if you're having to sit there thinking about, is this the one for me? The moment he says, I feel a bit intimidated by you, it's just like, time to leave. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and it's not that they would actually say that, right?
No.
One of the things and again, it's the blessing and the curse of being trained as a psychologist. You sort of, this stuff, you pick it up. Right. You know that actually something's going on here, and the dynamic of our relationship isn't flowing in the way that feels comfortable.
Right.
We're not easily engaging in the topics that I think we need to engage in to, work through conflict or, develop a shared understanding of where each other are on certain aspects.
Right.
So, and again, my litmus test with my partners started to be, actually, is this a person who is open to maybe doing some work on themselves
Yes.
And has a strong, growing sense of emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. So how to manage his emotions, how to talk about difficult issues. Not that it's easy, but, being willing to jump in and work that through, and, open to, if we can't resolve this ourselves, can we go and get a third party to help us work something?
Right. Communication is so essential, critical in the relationship.
Critical, absolutely critical. And I think it can be easy for many women to fall into the trap of wanting to grow their emotional intelligence, or having a good sense of emotional intelligence, but maybe having a partner who makes them feel bad about that.
Right.
Why do you always want to talk about that? Oh gosh, you're crazy.
Right.
How could you, so, it's very easy to start to think, well, actually, is this me? Which is why I think it's always important to, have those external resources. And I'm talking beyond friends, right, Shirley?
Yes, counseling, therapy, those types of things, coaching, yeah.
That you can, bounce things off. I think it's critical. You need that sense check.
Yeah.
From, or be able to have someplace you can go for that sense check beyond your friends.
Yeah, because it's really, so for some people there might be already in established relationships where that those things aren't happening. It's about exploring, is there a way that you can get your relationship to do that, but if you are seeking out a new partner, is to have that in the beginning, to have the willingness to look for that as an essential part of your relationship, in that, is this a person that I can have conversations with, and is this a person that's open to gaining support if and when we need it over the years? If this is someone you're looking for a life partner, then it suggests it's for life,
Yeah.
And so
absolutely.
life will give you what it gives you too. You create what you create, and then sometimes life gives you what it gives you, and you're like, can you figure it out? Or as one of the things that, let me start again. When my husband went to talk to his friend about us getting married,
yeah,
his friend said to him, well, the question is, when things don't go well, is she the person you want to work it out with? And he
beautiful.
said, that was it. I thought, yeah, you're the person I want to work it out with. So that was it. We're going to get married,
Beautiful. That's a beautiful.
Isn't it a great question? Isn't it a great question? Thanks, Nick, wherever you are out there. So ask yourself that question before you say yes. Don't say yes to the dress. Say a yes to, is this the person that you want to work it out with? And if it isn't, then, walk away, be graceful, be thankful, in deep gratitude for whatever they've given, and then walk away and then find the next person,
Absolutely. And I guess I would add to that, Shirley, also honoring yourself and taking the time, especially if you've been in, a string of relationships that you feel have not given you what you need, taking the time in the cycle to sit down and say, in the context of this, what have I learned?
Right.
What's important for me? And often, well, it's okay to also say, well, I don't know what I want, but here are the things I don't want. It's okay to start the list there. But, again, honoring ourselves to take the time to really think through, what are the things I'm looking for? What are the questions I want to ask, on that first or second encounter?
Yes.
And
not be afraid to. Not be afraid to ask those really, sometimes it may occur like a deep question, and it may occur like, oh, can I ask that on the first or second date? And the answer is, yeah, you can.
Yeah. Right. absolutely right. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No. That was a bow on top of the gift of a thought that I shared there.
Thank you. That's a great accomplishment that I'd never thought was going to come out of that question. That's brilliant, and I love that your friend knows you so well as to say, "Oh, I've got one."
Yeah,
It's clear,
he's
so clearly.
he's fantastic, and I have a lot to thank him for because he actually wrote my profile on the dating site that I was on when I met my current partner.
That's brilliant. So what a great friend.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. So I have a lot to thank him for.
We're going to give a special shout out to him.
Yeah.
Shout out to Vyla's bestie.
Yeah, special shout out to Keith Mainland.
There you go.
Thank you, Keith. He's my guy.
Thank you, Keith, for giving that answer to. He's your guy. There's your Vyla's guy, so that's perfect. Yeah. So then then the next thing that is coming up for me is one of the questions I want to ask my guests is I want to explore what's been one of your most courageous moments in your life.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well,
I know this is quite heavy. The questions are quite. Heavy, but
it's a great heavy question, Shirley, and it's okay. But so I guess for me, it came outside of work, and it was when I was invited to sing the female solo part as within the opera Carmina Burana.
Wow. Okay.
So I'll give you a little context for that. So I've been singing on and off since I was, again, 12, 13 years old. Did that all through high school, college. Was actually going to major in music and pursue a classical music career. But I thought, well, if I do that, it means I have to give up red wine, and I don't know if I want to do that. Early point in my life, because that can wreck your vocal cords. But through the years, I kept singing, and they asked me to come along and sing the female part in this opera. And it was, well, I guess I was probably early 30s, but I had never done a piece that big. Mm-hmm. I had never done anything with a full orchestra, nor had I done anything that was in partnership with a professional. So there was an individual singing the tenor part who was very well known on the classical circuit.
Wow.
So I stepped up and did that. And on top of it, we were being asked to do 2 performances back to back. So do it twice, yes. Within a day. And now that I look back, I'm thinking, boy, that was not only courageous, that might have been a bit crazy, Vyla. Yes. And I have to say, it was a huge learning experience for me. It was pretty scary. And I can say, looking back, I don't think I gave my best effort, but I got through it. That's probably what I would give as the most courageous moment in my life.
Wow, that does sound courageous to me. The moments, I talk about, I've defined courage here, like the place where you take an action from your heart space, really. And versus your head space in that, because your head would be going, this isn't a good idea, Vyla, right? But your heart, there's a calling, there's a momentum that comes when you take an action from that place, which is in some way in service of you or in service of another. And wow, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I have to say, it was a pretty traumatic experience for me. And after that, I didn't sing for a very long time. So I want to say that was maybe in the early to mid 90s. After that, I didn't sing for a long time. And now I've gingerly gotten back into singing and singing in public. And I have to thank, some of my colleagues, believe it or not, at London Business School, who I work with on some of the programs I deliver, who have said, Vyla, I know you're asking me to run this session, but I want you to sing as part of the session. So I work a lot with musicians in the context of my leadership development work, using, jazz and classical music as a metaphor for leadership, building teams, building self-insight. And, many of them have invited me to sing and participate in those sessions, which has been lovely. Wow. And has been a way of me getting back into my singing.
So then that's really, well, it's lovely that you're back in your singing. And I can see that also, that sometimes when we take courageous action, it doesn't yield what we want at the other side, or we don't take, and it may be the opportunity to process what happened didn't happen, the degree that it meant that you then stopped, so what did you make it mean, whatever that experience was, that you were left so in a stage where you're like, I can't do that, I am not singing, like that there was some decision that was made consciously, unconsciously as a result. So so that's something to really get, that it doesn't take away that you were being courageous, and it doesn't take away that it's a place to be inspired for the moments of courage that it takes to take the action. And sometimes it doesn't produce the result that we always want, and you did it. And
it's beautiful what you said in terms of processing that. So one of the things that has helped me come through to singing again was actually exploring what went on. And yes, it was about losing a sense of confidence, no doubt. But also, I forced myself to lean into that and say, well, what would you have had to do to be confident, Vyla?
Right.
What would you have had to do? And when I worked through it, it was stuff that was in my gift to be able to do. Well, it's about, practicing more frequently. It's about not trying to take on something too big at once. Try some, little variations on the bigger thing that you want to do over a period of time before you do the big thing. Right. So, by really forcing myself to take the time to reflect on, yes, okay, I've stopped singing because, I've had a crisis of confidence, but also it's like, what do I need to put in place so I can have that confidence?
Yeah.
Build confidence again, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. What did you discover and learn about yourself, and if I do that, then what would be different in the future? And those are all great questions and great moments where we can stop and reflect and learn, and so that we can change how we're moving in the world in the next stage. May I'm going to ask you, because now it's like begs the question, are you willing to give us a little rendition here, a little of something?
Oh gosh.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
you have put me on the spot.
I don't know how you didn't think that, given you've shared this story.
Well, and you're asking me to do this not having warmed up. Well, let's have. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn. Okay, that's it.
Yeah. That's from Wicked, isn't it?
It is from Wicked.
Yes, I love that song.
One of my favorite musicals.
Yeah, I love that song. Thank you for that. Yes, it was. I appreciate you stepping in and stepping up to the plate, as they say.
Surely you make me feel I can fly, so I couldn't turn down that opportunity.
Oh, that's so good. So my last question to you is, if you look back and you were speaking to the 13-year-old Vyla,
Gosh,
and you had some advice for her with all the years of experience that you now have, what would that advice be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I guess it would be trust that you're on the right path, and it will get easier. And I say that given some of the things I've been involved in professionally, during my career, in the early days, doing work with individuals, teams at a deep level, it can be a challenging proposition, and it can take it out of you because there are just so many things to think about. And, also in places where it's important for you to understand yourself in a way that you're not contributing or colluding with a situation. Yeah. So, the more I kept, building my abilities, doing stuff, facilitating, working with individuals, working with groups, the easier it has gotten. And I guess I see it, the analogy I would use is it's a muscle. So if you use the muscle, if you build up the muscle, you'll get more proficient in using the muscle. Mm-hmm. But you have to use the muscle. You can't think your way into developing yourself or building a capability. At some point, you're going to have to do some stuff. Right. But you can't think your way into a new way of being. You got to act your way into it. Exactly. So think about what are some strategies you can use to start to build your muscle.
Brilliant. A brilliant way to end a wonderful time together. And thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Really, it's been fantastic, and just to have the opportunity to think about this stuff has been, enriching and developmental for me on its own.
I hope that you've been inspired to shift gears in your own life. Isn't it wonderful when we have friends who know us so well that they can help us see something about ourselves that we perhaps didn't see? And that, when I think about Vyla's friend who actually helped her write her profile for the online dating app, and what difference that then made to her because it helped her find her current life partner. I know I've had so many conversations with people about this journey, and what this tells me is that even in this journey, you don't have to do that alone. You do not have to do that alone. You can lean on your friends for support to support you with finding the man or woman or person of your dreams. And so I find that inspiring. I find that moving, and I love that part of the story too. If you are loving She's Got Drive, then rate and review the show on iTunes, please. It really helps us grow the show, and I appreciate all of you who have done that. So head over to iTunes and rate and review the show. And the other thing is, if you are interested in setting goals, then download your Goalkeeper, shirleymcalpine.com/goalkeeper to help you create the goals that you want for yourself in your life and to stay on track on your goals as well. There's the episode that I posted a couple of weeks ago on keep rocking your 2019 goals. I am on a mission to ensure that people are setting goals and being intentional in their lives to have the lives that they want versus the life that they have. Thank you so much for listening. You can get in contact with me on my Instagram account. You can DM me there, Shirley McAlpine. You can contact me through my website, shirleymcalpine.com/contact me, or through my She's Got Drive Facebook page. She's Got Drive is produced by Cassandra Voltalina. The music is by the awesome all-female band Blonde. The song is called Circles. Thank you again for listening. Until next time, go well and stay well.